Nebraska completed fall camp practice here, number 12, as the Huskers now in week 3 of preparations here for UTEP. Hi, Sean Callahan with HuskerOnline.com. First and foremost, we caught up with defensive coordinator Tony White as he gave an assessment on where things are at thus far in camp.
They're working their butts off. You know, we're throwing a lot of situations at them this week, especially. Coach has situations mapped out. You know, different thoughts and want to get that practice. And the great thing is, especially in those situations, he's pulling the guys up a lot and going over the philosophy of why we're doing certain things. So, you know, the education on that part is there, and we need to continue that not only on the grass and in the meetings, but you know, some guys, you can see some guys starting to get comfortable in terms of their groove and their feel about playing. I think Deshaun Singleton, he's a guy you can see. You know, we lost him last year early, and then. It was like just kind of making sure that his knee was okay, and taking a long process there, and then all of a sudden now you see him getting back in the groove of making plays and flying around, and so he's playing at a high level right now. Same thing with Marquise. You know, with his knees and everything, you're monitoring his loads and stuff, but him running around, getting the feel, he's looking like last year's Marquise. And then, you know, those interior guys, the linebackers, Javen, John, Giff in there in the middle too. I think all those guys are doing a nice job of running around, communicating well, playing fast. You know, we got to continue to develop the guys, the next level of guys. You know, Mario Buford's one, Dwight Boodle's out there making some plays, Sierra Wright's out there making some plays. That second group of DBs. You know, we're trying to get them a lot of reps, a lot of situations, so they can advance their learning and throw them on the grass. And Coach did that today. So, you know, again, it's just that week of camp where you're trying to not only challenge them physically, because you're hitting that mark where their bodies are beat up and all that stuff, but also mentally in all those situations. So that way, when those situations arise in the game, that you know how to act. So.
One of the bigger questions for White now is actually in the secondary as they try to figure out who will play that other corner spot opposite of Tommy Hill.
Yeah, that thing is rotating every day. I think the whole secondary is rotating through there, getting a lot of guys, a lot of different spots, a lot of reps at different spots. Coach Butler's doing a really nice job of that. I mean, you got Dwight Boodle's out there, Sierra Wright's out there. I mean, Jeremiah's out there. You know, Bly's been on the side, and he's working his way back well. Amari Sanders is a guy who's really standing out amongst those young guys and getting a lot of reps at corner. I mean, it's really day by day, you know, who's excelling, who's really performing at practice, and then, like I said, John is rotating guys through there so we can see guys at different areas, you know, putting a field safety at boundary, putting a corner at field safety, you know, moving those guys around so we have some flexibility.
White talked a lot about John Butler and just how he's been a great fit thus far early on in camp.
When you're around him, the football experience and the knowledge, but the one thing that's really cool with JB is that you know, he's humbled to the point of like, hey, this is how we do it. You know, he may have done it differently at different places and stuff, but this is our way. And he's constantly changing terminology, constantly like absorbing all that stuff and fitting it in, as well as being able to speak up and say, hey, I like these things in coverage. I like to do this. I like to do this. Let's see, can we do this? You know, so and I think in terms of the guys, they know football, you know, and they know who can really help them in football. And when you're around him, you guys heard him. I mean, he's good at what he does, you know, and he's good around the guys, and he knows football. And so those guys are taking it to him. You know, they're starting to joke around with him and all that stuff. So it's fun to see out there. And then at the end of the day, like, he coaches them hard. You know, he coaches them hard, which, you know, in this defense with the DBs, having 5 DBs out there for the run and pass, you got to be coached hard. You know, great players want to be coached hard, so it's really refreshing to have them in the room.
Another big topic of discussion has been the rise of freshman linebacker Vincent Shavers, as both Rob Dvorak and Princewell Uman-Yellen talked about the talented freshman out of Miami.
Yeah, I mean, he's explosive. So he's a physical player. He plays hard. He's an explosive player. He's still learning, right? He's still young, so there's a lot for him to learn, whether it's the schematics of the game or the situations that we're playing every day. So there's still a lot to learn, but he loves the game of football and he's an explosive player. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Vincent, he has that dog in him. A lot of the freshmen, they put in the work to be in the position they're in right now. So, but Vincent, yeah, he's one of a kind. He plays fast. Even though he might not know what he's doing, he'll play fast, and that'll make up for it. So as long as he does that, he'll be perfect.
And when Dvorak looks at that linebacker spot as a whole, he feels like he's got a number of key veterans to build around.
Obviously, Coach Rule every week is like, hey, this is what we're doing for practice each day, and we talk about the number of guys, the number of groups, how we're going to structure things. So on that part of things, it allows us to figure out who we want to put in where in certain periods. And then the other part for me is just like kind of rotate guys in different groups. You know, we do black, red, and white, and we switch guys around all the time and try to continue to develop each guy. And the meetings, everyone's getting coached. I mean, I don't care if you're in the play or not. I'm going to call on you and make sure that you know what's going on, even though you may not be on the tape on that rep. So individuals really important, how we organize practice, everyone going to different groups and coaching everybody within the room because you never know what could happen.
And for Uman Yellen, he got a lot of valuable work as a freshman. He wants to now take a big step forward as a sophomore.
Just the small stuff that I could have, like, example, sack slasher that I could have made, those will be made this year. It's just small detail stuff, just like ripping and reaching at the end of my rush or just bending, pad level, anything, things like that. Yeah, same with Cam. Coach T-Knight be getting him right.
Another guy that we caught up with was defensive lineman Elijah Judy, who played his first season at Nebraska a year ago as a transfer from Texas A&M. He hopes to continue to rise in that defensive line rotation.
It's been a lot different. My first year, I was still adapting to the culture and getting used to everybody. But this year, I'm fully bought in. Last year, I don't think I was really bought in. I was like a little iffy, sticking one foot in the water, testing it out a little bit. Right now, I'm full in. I'm buying into the process. And I'm just ready to be a leader and be able to work with the guys.
And then James Williams, a defensive lineman that Nebraska added late a year ago, was a quick riser as he joined the program from Nebraska's postgraduate camp. The big thing now is getting his body ready for Big Ten play.
It's spending more time here than they require of me. It's making sure that I'm in early for treatment, or I'm staying longer for like different kind of like the tubs or the different kind of recovery options that they have for us. Just making sure that I feel the best available version of myself. Obviously, I'm not very big, so you know, like being able to deal with all the guys in the trenches, it requires more out of me than it would, let's say, like Nash or Ty. You know, like, because they're built up, they have more of a callus to it. Like, it requires like 100% of my energy as opposed to like, you know, like 80% of theirs. So I need to take it like ever more seriously than like maybe some of those guys do.
And even though everything happened so quickly a year ago for Williams, he said he expected this, as he's got goals and he's done a great job of kind of meeting those goals thus far at Nebraska.
I actually didn't think that was fast at all. I thought that was slow and a grind. I kind of mentioned that I wasn't like really focused when I first got here, and like having to quickly learn the playbook and pick up different aspects of it. I really felt most of that was attributed to Coach White and T-Knight, really, and like Nash, Ty, and Jamari all kind of getting me ready for the moment. And it didn't really feel fast. It felt like it took forever to get to that point. I was dealing with a lot off the field and stuff like that, so for that to be like how my season ended, I was not expecting that at all, but I'm so grateful that I was able to get that opportunity.
And finally, it is the dog days of camp, week 3 for a lot of these players and coaches, as you held that final scrimmage on Saturday.
Yeah, this is when your body start to break down, get the plan in your head, your mind get the wandering off. But like Coach Rule said, you got to double down to the process, buy in to what he's talking about and the culture that we have here, and things go good.
This is like the part of camp where it's like super hard to get through. It's like thicker. It's like, I don't know. This is like the lull of the. This is like the lull of camp. So just powering through.
Huskers will be back to work on Wednesday for fall camp practice number 13. Reporting with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.